Okay, so the next tool we are going to demonstrate is the Smooth Shift tool. Okay, and it's under the Multiply tab under Extend and Smooth Shift right there. Okay, so what we need to do is either select one polygon or a group of polygons. Now, Smooth Shift is very similar to the bevel tool. The difference is that the Smooth Shift tool is designed to work on a group of polygons simultaneously, whereas the bevel tool will bevel each individual polygon. Okay, we'll get a more precise example after we just get the basics of this down. I'm just going to show you first on one polygon. Okay, Smooth Shift. Okay, now if for some reason when you click the left mouse button nothing happens, start with the right mouse button first, and that'll start your Smooth Shift. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's go left click. Okay, and it extrudes out. Okay, undo. And if you do the right mouse button, same thing happens. Sometimes if the tool isn't activated, it won't let you use the left mouse button, so you have to click and hold down with the right and move to the right or to the left. Okay. Now let's make it so everyone can see. Now if I right mouse click again, I can make an extension, and what it does is it keeps extending out past the selected polygon. But if I go left mouse button, it doesn't make a new selection. It just keeps, since it's still in Smooth Shift mode, it only allows me to keep changing the how should I say, the length of the extrusion. Right mouse click, right mouse click, right mouse click, left mouse click. Okay, so let's undo that. Okay, now we also have the ability to have the numeric requester up. Notice it just popped into place because there was an offset value already in there. So let's hit 0. So the offset, that means it's right at its starting point. Okay, the max smoothing angle is 89.5. We're going to leave it at that for now. Okay, now notice we have another feature called scale. Okay, now if we bring scale down, whoops, I think we brought it down too much. Let's go here. Okay, so now it's done a bevel, but there's no offset. It's 0 meters. Okay, so it's a 50% scale. So it's made extra polygons. There's 4 extra polygons on the side here. If I go offset and I start pushing this out, then we have an offset. So now this looks more like a bevel. Okay, so let's go, whoops, oh, sorry. We can keep bringing this out. And I don't think there really is an actual physical limitation. And then you can still, you can go between the numeric panel and the actual perspective view or the other views on their own. You're not locked to the numeric panel just because you open it. There are some tools where you're locked into it, but a lot of tools you can go back and forth between the numeric panel and the actual manual, or doing it manually on the screen. Okay, so we did it on one polygon. Let's undo that. Okay, let's let's try it on a couple or 4 polygons that have space away from each other. See what happens. Smooth shift. And bring those out. Scale. Now notice it brings them in. Okay, they're all they're sort of like they're kind of like attracted to each other. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. Okay, so these are things to fool around with. Okay, let's go undo. Let's deselect those. Let's grab a group. Hit smooth shift. And see how it brings them out together. Let's try scale. And it bevels them all in as a group. The other, when I picked 4 that were separated, the group was actually separated from each other. What those polygons were actually trying to do was suck themselves inwards, just like what we're doing here. But it created a different looking effect because the polygons weren't connected to each other, the ones that were physically selected. Okay. So we've shown you what we can do in polygonal mode on just a flat square object. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate the how should I say, the bevel tool versus the smooth shift tool on 2 spheres that we got here. Let's grab a chunk on the first sphere. Okay, we're not going to go into sub D mode just yet. Let's go. Whoops. Let's go smooth shift. And whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to go smooth shift. I meant to go bevel. Bevel. There we go. Okay, so you see how it acts individually, and it works on the surface normal, the bevel tool. Okay, so it does extrude the polygons out, and you can change the size of the tips, those polygons on the very tip. Okay, just with the left mouse button. If you drag up and down, whoops. If you drag up and down, it extends them out more, and left and right controls the scale or the width of the extruded polygon. Okay, so let's grab a group over here and perform the same function with smooth shift. Okay, let's go out. Okay, see, it moved everything out with the surface normals, but it moved it out as a group, and it beveled. Whoops, sorry. It made a bevel around the whole group versus individual bevels for each polygon. Okay, so like I said, there is a difference between the two. The concept is the same, but it affects the polygons differently. Okay, let's go into sub D mode, and we'll perform the same function, but in sub D mode. Okay, let's, whoops, smooth shift. I did the same boo-boo again. Okay, Let's bring these out. Okay. Well, that's kind of spiffy. And then, with the right mouse button, you can add an extension. In the left, in the left mouse button, just you can only affect the size of the polygon and the length. The length, remember, is up and down. Size of the selected polygon is left and right. Right mouse button, once again, you can make an extension and control the how should I say, the size of the polygon and the length of the extrusion. Okay, so just be careful when you're doing this, because see how these are overlapping now? That probably wouldn't render very good. Let's undo that. Whoops. Undo. There we go. Okay, so let's deselect those and move over and do the exact, pretty close to the same selection, and demonstrate the smooth shift in sub D mode. Okay, we'll left click, and then it extends it out. Okay, so moving up and down doesn't do anything, but right and left does. Okay, now if I right click, it creates another extension. Okay, see how it made a nice rounded, sort of like a harder edge, but it's more rounded. But if I keep extruding out, it'll soften it. So let's undo that. Okay, so if I right click, see how it gives it that nice rounded edge. I haven't added any extrusion to it. If you were in polygonal mode, you wouldn't see this nice rounded, how should I say, this nice rounded sub D shape here. It would just stay sharp edge, and then you would have overlapped polygons. Let's hit the tab key, and just so I can show you. See, look, you don't have that nice rounded edge. I'll demonstrate it over here. Okay, if I go smooth shift, okay, and I bring this out, and I click the right mouse button, you don't see anything. Okay, undo that. And notice when I go into sub D mode, now I have this nice hard edge, but rounded. Okay, see how floofy, sort of round. These ones are kind of roundish more. Okay, but this is a harder, nice hard edge. So it's kind of cool. So, okay. So I think we've shown pretty much the main gist of the smooth shift tool. Let's undo this for a second. Let's open up the numeric panel and click on smooth shift. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. And so once again, you've got the scale, and things look different in sub D mode than they do in polygonal mode. So you can do this numerically, or obviously by hand. Offset as well numerically. You can type in a number, or you can drag the slider, or right in the window you can size things up. Okay. Now we have a max smoothing angle, and see how it distorts it if it's at the wrong number. If for some reason your smooth shift looks like this, the default setting is 89.5 degrees. Okay. Now, depending on the situation, maybe that number might not fix it, but you can go through and slide this around between 0, because it ranges from 0, or sorry, it ranges from minus, I believe minus 360 all the way up to, don't mind me, I'm just going through this, minus 360 all the way up to positive 360. I basically always keep this thing at 89.5 for whatever I'm doing with it. Okay? But if, like I said, it looks garbled, if it looks garbled like this, there's a good chance that your max smoothing angle is messed up, whether it was from another operation you did or someone else was using the software right before you, and that was the last setting that they had. Because a lot of these, how should I say, a lot of these tools in Lightwave will remember the last use. So most of the time, usually what happens when you turn off Lightwave and you turn it back on again, it goes back to its default setting. But say you didn't turn Lightwave off, and say someone was using it before you, and they may have been using a different max smoothing angle. Say it was 14.1, and like I said, it's all junk here right now. Like I said, it's just something to check, and bang. It's always best when you're first testing out tools, new tools, to just try things at their default setting. Mess around with the other stuff later. Try to see everything that you can do with the default settings. Like I said, stuff like smoothing angles and stuff like that, you're best just to leave them. Okay? And if something doesn't look right, this is the kind of stuff that you touch last. Okay? Otherwise, you might have some strange things happening. So, anyways, we're going to move on to the next tool. I think we pretty much got smooth shift covered, and that's it. We're going to move on.